Welcome to Flow Made Simple. I'm Coach Lochlainn and I've been training with the Steel Mace for over 7 years, and I've been teaching the Steel Mace for over 3 of those in person and online using the Flow Made Simple method. Now today I'm teaching you this exact method so you can learn any Steel Mace flow, and we're gonna learn it in 2 steps. First, we're gonna understand the concept behind the Flow Made Simple method, and then we're going to apply it directly to the epic flow that I taught this past weekend live on YouTube. So next we're gonna look at the flow, and then we're gonna break it down. To teach you the exact process that I use to learn and teach new Steel Mace flows, we're gonna look at the Flow Made Simple method, specifically the concept. Now there are 2 parts to this concept. The first is that we have to understand all of the core components of every single flow we do, and the second is that we have to understand the sequence that we have to learn and perform them in. Now, if we only know components, we don't know sequence, then we're gonna be skipping critical steps. We're not gonna be doing it in an ideal way, and we're not gonna master the flow. And if we don't know the components, then we're just not even understanding the flow to begin with. So the key is having both, knowing the components and knowing the sequence. Now, I want to apply this directly into our flow, the flow that you just saw. And so to do that, we are going to start by looking at the core components, because this is step 1 of the exact process that I use. Now, step 1, we have to look at the components. Now, there are 3 main parts of a Steel Mace flow. We have landmarks, which are going to be the upper body movements. We have transitions, which is how you move between upper body movements. And we have footwork, right? So those are 3 main parts. So I want you to watch the same flow, but slow motion this time. And I want you to look for the upper body landmarks, the transitions, and the footwork. I want you to look at those, and I'll also call them out. So you can see that in this slow motion, we have a downstrike. That is our very first landmark, and we're stepping into a lateral lunge as we do so. Then I'm pulling the mace up and dropping into a drop shield. That's a second landmark. From there, I bring the mace back in, come back into another downstrike, and then I switch the mace, prayer switching the mace up vertically, and then pivoting and finishing in front lunge with another downstrike. And then to finish the flow off, I push back up to standing into Musashi, the final landmark, and then I simply repeat the flow. And so you can see that as this is playing, you know that there is a sequence happening here, right? There's landmarks, transitions, and footwork. And I want you to just pay attention to each of these because these are the core components. And so now that we know what those core components are, we have to start ordering them. We have to pay attention to the right order to learn them in. So I like to start with the most basic piece, and that's so we can build it up gradually and then perfect the flow itself. So I start with the transition, with the prayer switch, because it's the most basic version. Now in the prayer switch, I actually like to start using something called a split grip. So that's 1 hand at the tail, 1 hand at the head of the mace. And after we do a few repetitions of this prayer switch to really learn how this transition works, because that's the transition of this flow, then we're going to advance it. And next we're going to be doing prayer switches in battle grip. So battle grip is when I have 1 hand at the tail of the mace and 1 hand in the center of the mace. So switching here is much more challenging. So we just took care of that transition, that core component is now done, and now we have to worry about the footwork. So we put that mace down, we practice doing footwork. In this case, it's really a reverse step out into a lateral lunge, and then we simply return back up to standing and then turn 180 degrees and repeated it on the other side. And so we have this nice 180-degree pivot dropping into a lateral lunge. That was our footwork for the Warriors Harmony flow. So once we understood the footwork and the transition, we're able to start adding in the landmarks. And so the first landmark that I added in was the downstrike. And so the first, and this is really the first true drill, is going to be a step out into lateral lunge with a downstrike, and then coming back up to center, prayer switching the mace, and repeating it on the other side. And so you can see how we've really just combined several elements we've already practiced, and then added in something new. So this was our very first real drill. And from there, we're ready to kick it up a notch. And so we added in now 2 more landmarks. This is the Warriors Harmony flow. So you can see we had the initial downstrike, then we prayer switch the mace into that vertical posture, and then I pivot to front lunge and down strike, And then from there, I push up into Musashi, Musashi being the last landmark there. And then I simply repeat it on the other side. So what we've done in this section is we just advanced the drill into a flow. We added a few extra pieces. We already knew how to downstrike. We already knew the footwork, already knew the prayer switch. So we just added in another downstrike, and then we added in one new move, the Musashi. So you can see how we're really gradually building this flow up. So now at this point, we have two more main components. We have the drop shield, which is the next landmark, and so we learned that by itself. We added a little bit of footwork into that to make it more interesting, make it a better workout. But fundamentally, we're just practicing this one movement. We're isolating it so we can master it truly. And then we put the whole thing together. So we added in that drop shield into the Warriors Harmony flow that we'd already done. And so in this way, we're making the flow more complex, but we're really only adding in one piece at a time. And that's a significant takeaway. So I want you to understand that this is what the core component, the core idea rather, of the Flow Made Simple method is. We understand all the components, and then we have to sequence them in a very specific way. Now, this is the Flow Made Simple method. And if you want to practice this flow in the full length class, and if you want to also get the full length tutorial and even programmed workouts, you can have them all right now for free. Just simply tap the link in my bio down below and sign up to get those, and you'll be able to go straight into them, be able to practice this flow, reference this video again so that you can really understand the approach I'm having. This is the exact process that I used while teaching that class, while planning it out. And so hopefully this is of utility to you in your Steel Mace practice. So again, go sign up below so you can access the recording of the class and all the other materials. And thank you very much for watching. May the mace be with you.